Welcome to the podcast with your favorite cash flow guys, Mike and Blaine. Giving you the best advice while having a beer. When you're running a business, there are problems every day. Let Mike and Blaine help you out and guide your way. Cheers to the good times with Mike and Blaine for business, beer, and BS.
Hey, it's episode 216. It's 216. I'm Mike Mylan. This is the Mike and Blaine Show. That is my co-host and friend, Blaine Birch from Dry Run. What's up, my man?
Oh, boy. We missed last week because of Thanksgiving, so it's really fun to be back. Although I'm a tiny bit under the weather, so you might be carrying it a bit today, but I think I'm on the mend, hopefully. So,
Dude, you had plenty of energy. You were in on it. You were right there all the way pre-show. You're like on boom, boom, boom. Everything we asked, everything we talked about, you were in. So I'm expecting big things out of you.
I'll be good. About 40 minutes in, I might just like topple over and fall asleep under the desk here, but I'll keep her going as long as I can.
Yeah, probably only if you have a 10%er over there.
I don't. I have a lightish.
Yeah. All right. So this is Mike and Blaine. We talk about business. We talk about beer. We talk about BS, and that's what we do, right? So today's topic, I'm really excited about digging into because it's what I live every day. It's what I've been teaching. It's what I wrote a book about. And I stumbled into a conversation again this week. I'm like going, man, we got to do it. We got to do it. So, hey, let's start off. What are you drinking? What is it that you're drinking?
Okay, so what I'm drinking today is, and it's not really related to the topic, which is listen more, talk less, ask questions for, business relationships, advisory for you. But some of my neighbors, we were talking with them just the other day. They are hugely big supporters of rescues for, cats and dogs, especially dogs for them. They do a lot of, fostering and things like that. And but they don't drink that much beer. They like bourbon and that. So, but they were over at Pinnacle Brewing Company, and Pinnacle Brewing did this rescued collaboration with Foothills Animal Rescue in Scottsdale, and huge, and a little bit of money went to the rescue and everything, so it was awesome. So they were over there, they got some beer from there, and then they just they gave it to us the other day because they know Heather and I like beer, and it's delicious. It's a really nice beer, so also supports a good cause. So that's what I'm featuring today from Pinnacle in Scottsdale. Terrific brewery, by the way.
Yeah. Well, normally I would have a neighbor Pat beer, but he's fallen down. He goes, I'm not available. I'm not this, that, and the other. He's just, you can't trust him. I mean, he's one of our beer sponsors, and but you can't trust him. You never know what he's going to show up with beer. So I'm messing with you. Actually, the other day I said, hey, Pat, I got a growler I want to return, right? Because I like to give it back to him after he fills it up and brings it over. And I'd finally completed the growler and wanted to give it back. And he goes, well, I'm not home, so it's going to be hard to return it. I'm like, all right, well, so be it. Here we are. But I found something new that I hadn't had before. It's from Two Pitchers Brewing. And, my family, I mean, we're Irish, but we're also Nordic. We're also like part Viking, right? I mean, so be it. So from Two Pitchers Brewing, I got this Nordic jam. It's a lager, but it's got a bunch of fruit in it, right? It's got like cherries and stuff like that, but look at this, cherries and strawberries and stuff like that. So I don't know what I'm going to get exactly. But it was just Thanksgiving. And look, I mean, this guy he's standing on food. He's like got food on his sword. He's ready. This is me at Thanksgiving, right?
Super cool can too.
Yeah. So it's going to be really fun to get into. So what about our beer sponsors? Yeah. What about our beer sponsors?
Oh yeah. You already mentioned neighbor Pat. He's always a beer sponsor because he's bringing you beer like every week. Rachel Barnett from Gentle Frog. If you have a business and you need to know how to use QuickBooks Online, go to her YouTube channel, YouTube/@GentleFrog, or you can go to gentlefrog.com and you'll learn everything you need to know about QBO and get your books in order for 26.
Hey, and another year-long beer sponsor was Karen Harrison out of 3S Smart Consulting up in Michigan. I'm gonna tell you what, man. She is just growing like crazy. I see her on social media. She is always on top of it. If you haven't, just go to LinkedIn, follow her LinkedIn because she's got good information. She's got great articles. She's got a book that she just put out that's an Amazon bestseller called "Stop Growing Broke, Start Growing Profit." That's somebody you need to follow. So go check out Karen Harrison from 3S Smart Consulting.
And Larry Weinstein, the best CPA in Houston, Texas. If you're looking for a CPA, go look up Larry, the Cash Flow Cowboy, except his website is, what was it again? It's not Cash Flow Cowboy. It's a different.
Cashflowranch.com.
Cashflowranch.com. I
Yeah.
should write that down.
Because the Cash Flow Cowboy hangs out on the ranch.
There we go. Yeah.
There you go. Now, he showed me, he had a drink, we'll say kind of like, you know how you get drink coolers and stuff like that. He got one that he just showed me today on a text message. It has his cowboy hat and Cash Flow Cowboy logo engraved into it. And I'm like, damn, that's pretty cool. That's really good. So if you need a CPA, hey, I'm gonna tell you what, go contact the Cash Flow Cowboy.
Yeah, do for sure. And finally, Devin, superstar from Netflix. He's back. He's a sponsor well into next year. He's our first one that started to commit into 26 already. So thanks again, Devin. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, and he's on LSU campus. I mean, right now he's there. He's like in the mix, and it's just been, there's chaos over there. They just they fired their head coach. They hired a new controversial top dollar head coach. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff happening around. I mean, they fired the president of the university. I mean, there's so much things happening around LSU that he is right in the middle of everything that's happening. So, what a cool or chaotic or not cool thing to do. I don't know.
I haven't heard of any of that, to be honest. So I'm only just up in the NHL drama and now the Olympic hockey drama. So that's usually all that I got. And F1, man, if you're watching F1, holy cow, is it getting interesting. Last race of the year this weekend, 3 different drivers could win the championship this race.
Hey, cool. I went to Utah. Remember, I got that client in Utah. I flew through Vegas during the F1 weekend. It was a ghost town, dude. There was freaking nobody there. No, I mean, I've never seen Vegas like that. It was empty. I took pictures of emptiness in the Las Vegas airport. Driving through, there's nothing. They had the roads closed off, of course, because of the F1 race.
Yeah,
dude, did anybody go?
Well, yeah, it was sold out, man.
How was it so? I mean, there was nobody in the airport. How was that even possible?
Well, yeah, because they all came before the race and they all left after. So there's probably nothing going on because I don't think you could get a hotel room probably in that town for that stretch of the race.
Wow,
so it was
crazy.
sold out, man. Yeah, it's crazy over there. So
yeah, that's great. Hey, can we say it? We can say it, right? All right. This is Business Beer and BS. And I want to point out something that happened since we last, remember, because we did the last one, I think, while I was in Utah. I was actually in a hotel room doing it. Yep. Jeff cut us short out of our, our thing. He cut us short out. Or was it you or was it Jeff? Which one was it?
No, I think Jeff did that one because I was on your Instagram channel and it's crazy.
I can't believe it. It's never happened to me, right? It's like I'm telling a story. No shit, there I was. No shit, there was. and I've got to tell you, I watched that, and here's my claim to fame. Oh, really? Tell me more. That's the only thing I say in the whole short. I'm not even in the short. I'm not even talking about the short. It's all you. And I would have never thought in a million years that you would have said the most controversial thing. And it's not controversial like it's good or bad. It's like, because it was a 50-50 split. It was the best fucking statement I've ever, pardon my language. Now you got to mark the check box on the thing.
Oh, I do it every week. It's like the Mike check box. Mike language check box, Mike language check box.
It was the best statement I'd ever heard, from this show that just took off. And it's not even in our realm, right? It's in a whole different industry that people got pissed and we don't know anything about any of it. And they're like people were saying, you guys are knobs. Oh, you don't know shit. Oh, you didn't go to medical school. You're not this. I'm like, yeah, that we weren't even talking about that, really. I mean,
yeah, it was part of the show that was the BS, of course, was the thing that actually catches everybody's attention. But as of today, like Thursday, December 4th, you were saying we've already had 550,000 views of this short. So I think that's quite hilarious, actually. But
I don't know that I've even logged on to. I don't even know that I've logged on to a computer 500,000 times.
No, that's insane. I think it's starting to peter out, so that we probably won't get much more. But it was who knows? Like, who knows why things suddenly catch a little fire? And apparently that one got someone's dander up, and they started talking about it and sending it. And it was just part of our usual BS part of the show. So,
well, you know what's funny is that it was that specific thing right there that made me think about today's topic, right? And today, you're like, you probably looked at the description. If you guys don't know what Blaine and I do, is he gives me creative liberty to 10 minutes before the show to just come up with a topic and go. And usually it's something I've talked about or done that week. Well, this has been on my mind because it was all during Thanksgiving. I'm watching the stats just climb. I'm like, what is it about this? Well, it started to make me think about our profession, not medical. I'm not in the medical field. You're probably not in the medical field.
Probably not. No. I got an opinion.
Everybody's got an opinion. But here's the thing. Check this out. I think here's what got me thinking about it is that there's this big shift in my industry towards advisory services, right? Like going, you got to remember, accountants, CPAs, advisors, they really used to just turn in reports. They'd do transactions. They'd fill out the books. Everything they did was about being the best historian of the company that was ever around. Yep. There's no better historian than an accountant, right? They can tell you everything to the penny what happened. The shift in the industry is what's going to happen. Right. And what's going to happen, you've got to be able to piece together, the history and then tell somebody what to do next. And that's where the industry is going. And that's what made me think about this is that, there's also a controversy there because the business owner is looking for advice or looking for help. And I'm going to call it help. And they're not positioned to do it. Right. Advisors, bookkeepers, CPAs are not positioned to do it because they want to reconcile every penny. And guess what you can't do in the future? You can't reconcile a penny because you can't because all it takes is one decision in the middle of a day that throws off everything. So you can't reconcile that. Okay. So there's a mind shift, transitional shift that's happening. And so I started to think about it from my conversations as an advisor, as a consultant, as somebody that works with businesses. Mm-hmm. I look at it like this. This is where the topic comes from. And the topic is all about, listening, right? I think you said it right off the bat, the new title. Blaine changed my title. So I even forgot the old title. So
SEO friendly title.
But here was the thought behind it. Here's my controversial statement that a therapist, right? A therapist that offers help to people has to sit there and listen to somebody for 50 minutes. They have to just listen to them for 50 minutes, we'll say. And then you got 10 minutes of whatever. And, but at least 45 to 50 minutes, they're just listening. As an advisor, we probably listen for 5 minutes and then interrupt every single time, right? Because, and I'm guilty of that, and I can look back at it in my own lifetime, going backwards, and say, "Oh my God, that's me," because I can remember listening to people, and as they're talking, I already know what the hell I want to say. I'm looking for the point to say it,
Yeah.
and I stopped listening, right? So that's where this comes from, and that's where I want to talk about today was, do we listen enough? Do we listen?
Well, yeah, and I know I changed it a little bit because you came from an advisory angle, and I looked at it, and I'm like, yeah, it's the exact same thing when I'm dealing with clients, and when I'm dealing with staff and like the team and everything. Um, it's one of the things I'm not that good at is keep mouth shut, listen, and ask question. Like when your mouth is open, you should be asking questions. That's the most powerful thing you can do. Um, but it can also be a challenge to do that. And I think like to be able to serve your clients right, whether it's advisory, like for us, we're supplying services, we're supplying product, right? Um, as soon as you stop listening, you're losing them. As soon as you start telling, you're likely losing them. You have to learn as much as you can from them, ask a ton of questions to be able to solve the problem, right?
Yeah, I think so. But I think that's where it all breaks down. Nobody knows how to ask a question, right? So I mean, it's that thing where if you answer or ask a yes or no question, you're going to get a yes or no answer, and you have to stop doing that. And that's that whole book I wrote last year, on "Don't Tell Me What to Do," which by the way is super funny because there's an inside joke in the family where when I met Courtney's dad for the first time, he goes, "Hey, what kind of annoys you?" And I said, "I don't like to be told what to do." So, and he says, "Well, you're not going to last long in this family then." Right. Especially with Courtney. Right. So, but here's what happened after that. Now I can literally go to them and go, "I wrote the book on Don't Tell Me What to Do." Because I knew. So anyway, that's a way off topic, but here
No,
was the thing.
I'm cut from the same cloth, but I think that's part of the. I don't know. It seems like the people that are don't tell me what to do, but I'm probably too quick to tell other people what to do, right? And it's a skill that you learn. It's a skill that you practice and learn to be able to get better at asking those questions and listening. It truly listening, not planning your next answer, right, or your next phrase. You're truly listening.
Dude, James, at Finagraph, the CEO of Finagraph, he would make fun of me on a regular basis. When I first started, working with them back in 2012, he would make fun of me saying, in the middle of a meeting, you'll make like little noises like you're ready to get into like, like, because I had something to say. I had something to add to the conversation, or I had a question, or I had a statement. He goes, that's your impatience. That's you not being willing to just absorb what's happening and then, really take in all of the information,
Yeah.
and you wanting to dominate the meeting. He was saying, "Hey, you already have a big enough personality. When you sit in the room, you already control a part of the meeting just by sitting there, right? By what other
Yeah.
people are trying to say around you. Meaning you do too, as a CEO of Dry Run. When you're in a meeting, everyone that's in that meeting is already aware and conscious of Blaine Birch sitting at the table, right? So that,
Sure.
when that happens, I
Maybe they
can't.
are.
Well, but when that happens, well, I mean, you might not be like me, but and this is 15 years ago.
Yeah.
My personality came out in the form of interruption. And it was bad. And it was bad. I'm the first to acknowledge 15 years later that, damn, that was a really big fault that I had. That was a really big hole in my game, is that I didn't listen and I was quick to interrupt.
Yeah, it's I was probably the same way. I know that I had more of that problem when I was younger, and I think you gain through experience and build patience. And um, Lisa, patience is my least best quality. One comment from Lisa.
Yeah. All right. See. So, well, she's probably just like me, because when you have, when I build something, I've got a vision, right? And sometimes people, I haven't communicated that vision very well. I haven't communicated the thought very well. I think I posted on my social today about how the first time a user, if you watch a user use your product and they're putting everything in the wrong spot, and it's like, oh my
Yeah.
God. Yeah. Because you've spent months, sometimes years,
Yeah.
making sure that it fit your thought process. But as soon as you introduce it to somebody who's never touched it, oh my God. It's one of those things where it's like they're, playing with Legos and they don't realize that the two blocks connect.
Oh yeah.
It's
That's
like,
one of the
oh my
most
God.
humbling things. One of the most, even in my last business, our creative agency, we were building software and websites and things like that. And we would always do the usability testing, and we would go through all that. And oh boy, it was painful. And it was always painful for the team, because I would coach them to, like, you guys, we have a list of questions here. You have to sit and watch and not prompt, because that's when we're learning. And oh my God, the pain when you're watching people lost, and then, you just let them go long enough, just like, okay, we're not learning anymore from this. Push this here, this big red button that you missed. But it's one of the most painful things. But that is when you learn, is watching, when and listening is just, it's so important.
Yeah. We always forget, right? That we've spent so much time in it, that our thought pattern is so clear. It should be so obvious because it's obvious to you. I had somebody last week say, I want to be where you are in this app, where it's just click, 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 and there's the answer. And they're struggling because they don't have the same, experience with the app. They don't know where that
Mhm.
button is. They don't know where this is.
Yeah.
So you're constantly engineering to get somebody to the point where you can't make a mistake. You can't fail.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that just takes time, a lot of time and a lot of energy, and a lot of learning, and a lot of, you know, discipline and humbleness to watch what's happening. And it's, but I think over the last number of years, I think I've changed and evolved. I think my team has changed and evolved. And, um, the when clients talk, it's like you're just like, oh, you're excited to hear. You want to hear. You want to know, what are they going to say? What are they going to why? Because we've just learned how valuable it is, and so now everybody wants to hear and wants to listen, and wants to ask questions. And it is a bit of I think, a learned skill that uh this friend of mine, this one friend of mine, so funny, because we go for beer, and he's so skilled. He kind of comes from a sales side at one point. He's so skilled at asking questions. And you can sit there, and if you're not careful, you'll have talked about yourself the entire time, because he just question after question. And he just keeps following during the conversation, he keeps asking questions. And so now I've done, like, some of your kind of verbal judo kind of stuff, right? And it's, you, like, kind of answer something. And then before he has a chance, like, I sneak that in and ask him a question. Well, how's it going over with this? And he's, oh, and then, and it's kind of funny, because actually have to get good at sneaking your questions in, because he's like a elite question asker, so it's really quite something.
Hey, all right. So let me ask this. Do people do that because they want to be asked about themselves? If I ask you questions, do I really want to be asked a question myself?
I don't know, maybe a bit, or maybe it's just I'm not sure.
I,
I
I,
don't know
I,
where that
I,
comes from. I think it depends, right?
I know I have. I know I've been in social situations where I'm not trying to dominate the room because I'm new to a group, and I'll ask questions hoping somebody will reciprocate. so I can, introduce my thought or my concept into the discussion.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I think in this case, I'm not sure because he's always got the follow-up ready to go. Got to sneak in, got to sneak right in, right? Get those questions back in.
Well, and if for me, I mean, I'm getting better at that. Not on this podcast. I'm terrible at this on the podcast because I just talk. but 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 with people, I mean, I start off every meeting, every conversation with, "Hey, what's going on in your world? What's happening?" Right? And I call it clearing the noise, because I'm a firm believer that every single person that comes to a meeting, if they're going to spend time, if I'm going to come and spend time with you for an hour or a half hour or whatever it is, I want something, right? There's something I'm thinking about. I want a question answered. I want to discuss a topic. There's something I want.
Mhm.
Well, in order to get your attention, I have to let you release that, or you're going to be thinking the whole time, like I did, when can I ask this? When can I ask this? When can I ask this?
Yeah.
Right. So I just get it out up front. Hey, what's going on? We've been about 2 weeks since we talked last. So what's happening in your world? What's going on?
Mhm.
And that's your opportunity to do that. And if you don't do it, I follow up with a technique I call the explorer. And the explorer is, oh, dude, tell me more about that. When you say chaos, what did that mean? Right. And that's
Yeah.
probably what your friend does, right? He just goes with that next technique to keep you going because he's trying to clarify your thing, the thing you want to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just how he's wired, I guess. Right. But because years ago I would, go for a beer with someone, come and go like, Heather would ask me about, oh, how are they doing? And I'm like, I don't know. Barely like I kept asking me questions and I couldn't get it, so I had to get the skill back to sneak in those questions. And when he asked him a question that he's always open to answering, and we would have some really good conversation. I just think it was a bit of his natural go-to in a conversation is just to ask questions. And um yeah, interesting because a lot of people it's the opposite, right? They talk and talk and talk at you, but they're, and I guess I've been guilty of it too. Sometimes people talk, they stop, and I just ask them another question. Just keep going, right? But it's just tricky.
Well, the worst thing in the world when you're hanging out with friends is dead air, unless you guys are comfortable. Like Courtney and I can sit in dead air, probably like you and Heather. You can just kind of sit there and just be happy. But if you're out with a friend, dead air is awkward.
Yeah. Well, and it depends how, I think, in a way, how long you've known them and all that. Like some friends, I don't think I would, um, but when in a business thing and stuff, it's more uncomfortable, right?
Yeah. So what is the percentage? I always say 70-30, meaning that whoever you're talking to should talk 70% of the time, and then you talk 30%. Is that good, bad? Where do you think that lies?
Well, I think if you're in a like a business situation, it does make sense to be like if it's a client, I want to be talking way less. Maybe it's 25%. I want them talking 75%. I want to learn from them. But then there's other times where your networking might be more effective to be a 50-50. Like, what if they have the same philosophy? What do you do if both people like, I'm doing 70% or they're doing 70% of talking, I'm only doing 30. You just, you get
All right,
crying to a standstill.
all right. So in practice, it never works, right? It's in theory, you're like, oh yeah, I want to talk 30% of the time, but I mean, in practice, it never works. It ends up being, hopefully 50-50. If not 50-50, I hope that you're not 90-10. Right? Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I hope. Yeah. So,
but it depends on the
goal-
circumstance, right? Like as you're talking about doing advisory and you're talking about therapists and that's actually sort of providing a service. And I think that only works if you've got some sort of ratio like that. And it probably is really useful to have that in the back of your mind. But then same thing with us. If we go into like, our needs assessment meetings, man, it's probably 80-20, probably not. It's probably 90-10 them talking because we're asking questions and we're prompting them. And then we're just notes and notes and notes and notes. And but it's important that it's that way. But then, yeah, like a networking situation, it's probably better to be a bit more of a 50-50, right?
All right, but in a business situation, I'm gonna tell you what one of the best positions to be in is if you use dry run and you got all this data and all these insights sitting in front of you. Now I've got something to talk about. I've got something to ask questions about, right? So, I mean, how would somebody use dry run to be able to do that?
Well, the number one thing is if you're struggling with your cash flow and not struggling with cash flow, struggling to visualize it, struggling to understand where the moving parts are, being able to talk to the management team and say, this is what's happening in our cash flow. This is what's coming in. We need to buy this big piece of equipment. This is how we can do it. That's what dry run's all about. It's about forecasting your cash flow. It's about modeling out different scenarios and be able to understand where the business is headed and talk about it as a management team. And the more complicated, the better. That's when you got to come to us. So the more tabs you have in spreadsheets, come talk with us. The bigger the massive data, the number of systems, come and talk with us because we're going to help you get a good idea of what's happening in the business moving forward. So just come and talk with us at dryrun.com and we'll see if we can help you out.
That's right. If you want to understand your business and it's too complicated right now, contact Blaine. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Was that the best segue? That was probably the best segue.
That was a nifty segue. I kind of had a feeling it was coming, but I actually was like, for a second there, I couldn't remember. Was it my week or your week? And then I was like, am I supposed to be doing a segue or are you supposed to be doing it? Because I
remember something happened where you used to be the oddball. Now I'm the oddball. And it's 216, so it's even. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
not
remember
sure what happened there.
Yeah. All right. So if we're 73, all right, so here's the thing. I'm going to go to advisory because that's where I live every day, right? I've been saying something for about 6 months now, and it comes from hoarders. Right? You ever seen that show, the show Hoarders? Oh, yeah. All right. Yeah. Because a lot of them are filmed in Canada.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Canadians love hoarding shit.
So there actually are a lot of episodes in Canada.
It could be. It's cold up there. You got to keep enough stuff to burn.
Okay, see, that makes sense to me. I'm like, oh, that makes sense. But here's the thing. When you see the doctor, and I didn't watch Hoarders until COVID, and I've probably told you this story before, right? Courtney called me in the room and says, "Hey, have you seen this show?" I'm like, "Oh man, I don't want to watch that. That's just sad. I don't know. It's just sad." She goes, "No, sit down and watch it for one." I sat down and watched one, and 15 seasons later, I understood Hoarders. Because once I watched one, and I didn't see, doctor hoarder. I didn't see that relationship. What I saw was business advisor, business owner in a different way, right? Because every time I heard them talk, I'm like, oh my God, that's exactly what I'm trying to get my client to do is take action, right? To actually own the behavior, the things that cause the problem, and be committed to doing the next step. Here's what Hoarders taught me, that you can't take the next step unless you own what the problem is.
Yeah.
You can't do it, right? You just can't do it. I mean, if you expand it out into the world, that's what Alcoholics Anonymous is. That's what, Narcotics Anonymous is. It's you owning your own problem. And you have to do that first. And I think that's the same in business ownership or life.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about questioning people, when we're talking about, having a conversation, and I'm the advisor and I want you to solve a problem that you have, I have to get you to say that problem out loud. That's the
Mhm.
whole thing I've been working on for the past year is how do I get a business owner to go, oh yeah, I don't know if I'm going to make payroll next week. If you say that, that's the problem we're working on
Yeah.
because you just said it. So you own it. It's not me telling you the problem. When you go in there, the first thing a doctor, like Hoarders, I'm going to go back to Hoarders. Wait a second. When you go to Hoarders, he can walk up to the house and know this is a hoarding house. He can see it spilled out into the yard. He can see it piled up in the windows. As soon as you open the door, he can see it piled up on the floor.
Mhm.
He can see it.
Yep.
He doesn't accuse. He doesn't judge. He doesn't make a comment. He just says, hey, tell me what I'm looking at here. Or, something like that. It's not an accusatory statement because he wants the person to start describing it.
Mhm.
Right? That's the secret
Yep.
to getting somebody to not being compliant because nobody wants to be told what to do. They're not compliant with taking an action. They're committed to taking the action because they have acknowledged it's a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting when like, because we're talking with people every day. We're talking with a lot of times they're the CFO, sometimes they're the controller, even sometimes it's the CEO or the business owner. Um, but it's amazing, and I think maybe we've got better at how we introduce things and ask questions because we just ask them, well, tell me about your business. Tell me some of the struggles you guys have with, with forecasting that how can, so that we can see if we can help you kind of thing. And it's amazing. Sometimes you get people in and they just know inside out, upside down. Here's the problem I got. We have, 80, we actually heard this today, new record, 80 bank accounts. It's a bigger record
Yep.
than I heard from you one time too. It's like, that is the record. That's a new record, right?
I only had 74.
Exactly. Because as soon as you said it, I almost yelled out, that's a new record. But it's like they have it for a reason. And, they're locked to each bank account. They have to, and they got to figure out like where money is coming, where's it going. It makes sense, but they understand like this is the challenge that we have. How do we deal with it? How do we move it forward? But the most important thing is when they have that end goal in mind, it's not like I just want to do this because I heard I should. It's like, I need to be able to talk with management about this. I need to be able to do this. I need to understand this. We need to be able to show this. And like when they're talking in those terms, not only does it really help us understand how we can help them, it's exactly what you said. It's like they know what they need. That takes away a big ton of challenges for us because there's been times where we were talking with, especially if it was maybe a small business owner type thing. Sometimes they don't really understand the problems. They just know it's kind of out there, and it's a big dose of education as well. It's I learned so much when we're talking with CFOs. I love it. I love talking with CFOs because they know the stuff inside out, upside down. It's a huge relief.
Yeah. So I'm going to say something controversial. My client who had the 74 bank accounts, this is where I'm going to give Mike Michalowicz some credit. He's got a good foundation. He's got a great program that forces a behavior. It forces you to be disciplined about where money goes, right? Because remember, we've talked on here before, budgets are an intention, not a restriction. I am doing this with this money, right? It's not a restriction. I'm not hurting myself, restricting my use of cash. I'm actually intending to spend it in this way, right?
Yeah, it's a plan.
So, yeah, Rick said, yo, and he gave us the square again. I don't know what that means. So
Rick, I think there's something wrong with your computer. We always get the little wavy hand and then a square, and every week is like, he's calling this a square.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're not square.
But here's what happened. Mike Michalowicz wrote a book called Profit First, and it sold millions, if not a million plus. Anyway, I know it's over 1 million, and it's worldwide. And people who do not engage with Mike Michalowicz's program and at Profit First and becoming a Profit First professional or dealing with one of those don't understand the entire program, and they just get whatever they read out of the book and try to apply it. And every time I see people try to do it on their own, they fail. They fail because they end up with 80 accounts. They end up with 74 accounts. And that's not what the program's teaching you to do. So I want to tell people that if you're going to engage with profit first, go talk to somebody that does profit first in the complete program, not just out of the book.
Mhm.
That shouldn't be controversial, right? It should be like, hey, this is how you end up with 80 accounts and it's a mess.
Yeah. Well, and with this person we were talking about today, this is a pretty big organization. And I don't think that wasn't the approach they took. I think this is just, it makes sense they have a lot of entities, to be honest. So, I think it actually makes a lot of sense likely, but, it's still like that. It still brings like a huge set of challenges, right? To be able to work with that. So it's yeah. Anyway, interesting.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, I wasn't trying to bring in your client. They did the same thing, but I've seen a bunch of people do that. They say, "Oh,
Yeah.
I read the book, I kind of get it," and they'll just go run with it, and they don't see the nuances of it, right? So I want to caution people that if you're going to do profit first, get with a profit first person. Yeah, because it's good, sound discipline up front. Yeah, there you go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know where to go with that.
I do. I'm gonna work in a little. I'm gonna work in a little BS because I'm quite proud of something. You said nuance, and I was thinking of the nuances of making a turkey. I made my first turkey last week. Whole turkey, never done one before in my life. It worked amazing. It looked like a picture from a magazine. It looked so pretty, and it was delicious. Very first time I've ever made a turkey.
All right. So did you pull the wishbone and then you're supposed to let it dry overnight?
I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm telling you, so okay, let me tell you how this happened. So it was after Thanksgiving, and I went to the grocery store to pick something up, and Heather said, "Hey, you might find a cheap turkey." And I'm like, I've never made a turkey. I'm not buying an entire turkey. Then I went there and I saw a 15-pound turkey for $8. And I said, I'm making a turkey. So I took this turkey home.
Yeah.
And then I asked AI, how do I make a turkey? And then I followed the answers on there, and I patted it down and dried it and put on oil and all this and shoved a bunch of onions in and all kinds of stuff. It worked amazingly well. I am now hooked on making turkeys. So every time there's a turkey sale, I'm all over that. And I chopped it all up and put it in the freezer. So now we got enough turkey here for the next, year.
My favorite part of Thanksgiving is the cold turkey sandwiches afterwards. And I'm a basic guy. I just want turkey, I want white bread, and I want mayonnaise on a sandwich, after Thanksgiving. And I'll eat it for 2, 3, 4 days afterwards. Matter of fact, neighbor Jessica across the street, if we're not having turkey for Thanksgiving, because sometimes we have ham or sometimes we have other chicken, those type of things, she will save her turkey and give me the leftover.
Oh, nice. Oh, I love turkey. When it's done well, it's unbelievable. When it's dry, it's really hard. It's like, we also watched Christmas Vacation the other night, and remember they cut the turkey and then it's like so dry, and we're like, trying to chew on these little tidbits of dried turkey. So I was quite happy with my turkey, and I was quite impressed that I didn't get any, AI delusions or whatever. So I actually made the turkey and it worked. I was quite impressed with it.
So have you ever interrupted a conversation and been wrong? Like, I should have waited for the end of that.
Oh, absolutely positive. I have nothing comes to mind like as a specific time, but I guarantee you I have, like, absolutely.
Isn't that the worst though? I mean, it's like, instantly, because you're like, oh, no, you have to do, and I interrupt and I say this, that, and the other to go, but what about X, Y, and Z? You're like on, oh yeah, so ignore what I just said. That's the worst thing. That's the thing that told me early on. It says, damn, just wait a few seconds, right? And when I started teaching managers, I'm like going, you don't have to do everything unless it's about life or safety or something like that. You don't have to act. You don't have to talk. You don't have to commit instantly.
Hmm.
You can think about things. And I think that's
Yeah.
one of the powers that a great business owner or CEO or manager or just person has, is the ability to just wait and absorb what's happening.
Yeah. And I think some people it comes natural to. Some people probably a bit like you and me. You know, my first reaction is, let's go up the hill, guy. Bulldoze, and punch your way through a wall. I think but the good thing is it can be learned and you can get better at it. You always get some of those little bad habits, but you can get better at it. You can learn. It's like networking. You might not be comfortable at first, but you can get good at it. It's repetition and it's getting out of your comfort zone and learning, right?
And you know where the best practice is? This Thanksgiving, you sit in front of your family, or even Christmas, they're going to talk about one of the taboo subjects.
Yeah.
They're going to talk about those. I'm telling you that Courtney's sister's husband is probably the best at just listening. He's got big opinions, but he listens first, right? That way he can absorb it and make sure that what he says next doesn't, doesn't either contradict, be wrong, or make him look bad. And he's super good at it. And I learn every time I listen to him talk, I'm like, or watch him in a conversation. I'm like, damn, that guy's really good at just sitting there until the right moment to make the right point.
Hmm. Yeah.
Right. And it could be 10 people in the conversation and he puts it in at the exact right point.
Nice. That's a
Yeah.
really nice skill to have. What does he do for a living?
I does like business, private equity stuff.
Oh, okay. Well, interesting. I was curious where the connection comes from. So.
Yeah. He's in business type things, and they got a foundation that they run and stuff like that.
Interesting. Nice.
Yeah, but he's really good at absorbing, but he's also very articulate at the point that he's trying to make with the information that's already presented.
Yeah. I don't know if either of us have ever been accused of being articulate.
No. All you have to do is listen to one of the 216 episodes.
Yeah.
And you'll know that.
And no one will have said Blaine is articulate. I don't know if I've ever used that word before.
You know, one of the greatest built-in excuses we ever have is that we drink during the show.
That's,
dude, I was drinking.
it's also a reality. Especially on some of the episodes we did learn from. We learned from your birthday whiskey episode. It wasn't the best idea.
We should not do whiskey during the show.
that was at least moderate whiskey drinking during the show is probably best.
What?
So yeah.
Well, unless you want to get in trouble, and then you get you get what is that called? Correction, or what's that called? A corrective action.
Yeah, no,
what is that called?
We don't need that.
yeah, that's right.
We don't need that. Yeah.
All right, so I haven't asked this question in about 100 episodes. I used to ask it every episode. What'd you learn? What'd you learn this, during this last hour?
You know why you stopped asking? Because we probably never had any good answers.
I used to ask that is because I want to learn every time I'm talking to you, and I do learn every time I talk to you. So I'm,
Well, I think it I don't know if I learned, it reinforced the fact, and it was a very important reminder to put on my listening ears, because it is something that you can start to get a little lazy on. And it's just every once in a while, you need those reminders that it's like, yeah, that's a really valuable skill. It's a very valuable tactic to use in business, to be able to, ask questions and shut your mouth. Right. And you need reminders, I think, sometimes. So I think it was a really worthwhile reminder that that's an important thing to do.
Yeah. So here's what struck me And I don't know if I learned it or if it's something I need to think about, which is you were talking about you and your friend and how he is skilled, so skilled that you could
Mhm.
spend an hour and not talk about anything but you. And I don't know if that's good or bad, right? If my skill is to only talk about you, is that the right thing to do? And if for some reason I think no, because I think there should be a balance in any conversation, right? Con-
Yeah, but is that on him or on me? Right? So
no,
it was
no, I
on
think
me
that's on him.
to
No, I think that's on him because he's purposely, purposefully, whatever, asking you the question, and he always has a follow up, which means he's doing it with an intention to keep the conversation going on you. When he could say, "Hey, you know what? Here's what I think about that," and then interject with some cool stuff.
Yeah, yeah, and but I don't think it was as intentional as it was. Maybe it's probably a habit on his side where some people it's talk talk talk. It's his go to. He's just like just naturally ask questions. As I start to like so over the years I got good at sneaking back the questions going the other way, and then it just sort of falls into a regular conversational rhythm, right? So it's not like it's just I got to sneak in a question or two, and then it just kind of flows after that. So it's just I think it's almost like the start, right?
Yeah, but if you go to the Latin of the word, right? Conversation, right? It's con, two, versating, which means having a talking. It takes two people talking back and forth, just like this podcast is back and forth, back and forth. If you're not having a conversation with two people doing it, then
Mhm.
I don't know. Is it as productive? Is it as valuable? Is it as meaningful?
Probably not, but what I did learn today is some Latin.
Or maybe it's Spanish I confused with Latin. Hell, I don't know.
The only Latin I remember, and I don't even barely remember it now, is the as probably fake Latin from the Bugs Bunny show. It was a little,
All right. So, hey, once we hit 1,000 comments or whatever the hell that was on that 500,000 view short, I don't,
10,000,
I
I
don't,
think, or something. Yeah.
yeah,
Or
it
is
was
it
crazy. Like,
how many comments, how many shares, how many
I
crazy?
think it was
Yeah.
like 15,000, something. I don't know. I don't know. But there was about 1,000 or 1,100 comments,
Mhm.
and they were mixed, right? And most of them weren't even about us. It was about the topic, which was fantastic, which is the best thing that could happen with a short is that it's not about you or I. I mean, who the hell are you or I? It's just people are like conversation about the topic. So it is an important topic. And I'm
Mhm.
glad you brought it up.
And just again, it was a little bit of BS that snuck in there. Who knows? Who knows why something catches fire? I didn't even think it was controversial. Turned out to be a little bit controversial, I suppose. But yeah,
Well,
well,
no, you knew it was controversial because you said in the very beginning of the short, I'm going to
you're
say
right.
something controversial.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Okay,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
in
So,
my mind, I was thinking this is very controversial. Like try to preemptive it, but it did say that I didn't think it was that controversial. But what was interesting is how much conversation it prompted, and I didn't look at very many of the comments because I know a bunch of them are going to be like, "You're stupid," so I didn't look at that many. But it was interesting because it prompted a conversation, and I thought that was really, really interesting.
yeah, I thought half the people that I looked at agreed with you. The other half thought you were a knob. But,
Well, half are right and half are wrong.
there you go. There you go. So we got everybody covered. None
Exactly. Yeah.
of them said I was.
Yeah. Half of the people
None
are
of them said,
stupid dum dums. Half of them I like.
there you go. Hey, this was a fun one, all right? So this is a fun one. 216 was about, conversating, getting in front of somebody, letting them talk, understanding the other person. Because I think that's an important skill, not if you're just an advisor, if you're in business, if you're, if you're on a talk like this, if you're on a podcast, let the other
Mhm.
person get in, right? Get in and say what they want. But like you said, have your listening ears on at the same time.
And the most powerful tool in your toolkit is a question. When you're talking with a client, even when you're networking, anything, like you said, if there's sort of a pause, dead air, anything like that, just have a question in your back pocket. It's the most powerful tool you can have.
All right. So if you like this and you want to cuss at us more on the Instagram,
yeah. Actually, Mike, you put the short on if you haven't seen it, because it might be a little buried on your page now. We can put that short onto our Facebook page and then see if we can get a little bit of controversy going on our Facebook page too.
Yeah, there you go. So, but other than that, go check out MikeandBlaine.com. You can get every episode, all 216 of them right there, or on Apple, on Spotify, whatever it is. Most importantly, if you saw us talk about people in the beginning, right? So I know we got an audience now that has seen some of our stuff at the very beginning of every podcast. There is an opportunity for us to talk about you, your company, your brand, your message. Spend the $5. It's going to be the best $5 you ever had, you ever spent on yourself, because it lives forever in the internet. And we're going to talk about you the way you want to be talked about.
And just remember, we have had in 2025 well over 500,000 views of our content, mostly on one clip, but we've had a ton of views. So and make sure you please like, follow, and tell your friends.
Check out their website at mikeandblaine.com. Then subscribe to the podcast and buy these guys a beer.